Hey, Shalom, inshallah. This stuff source by giving no praise to Yahweh Hashem Shy. Double honors to Apostle GMS and honors to brothers that are doing the work in truth while sincerity. Literally, spirit. I was thinking about this screenshot that I took like ages ago now, and basically was going through the brothers in my camp's video, and I saw that one of the brothers in the camp was actually spirit got on him to do something on the IMF. So I thought, hey man, you know what? Let me find this screenshot and let me do a video on it, right? So basically, I've traced where it came from. It was an excerpt from this book here. I believe the book is The State of Africa, and it basically reads this, right? I just looked for the stirring developing nations pay the West 9 times more in the Google, and I basically was able to find the books on page 227, where it says developing nations pay the West 9 times more in debt repayment than they receive in aid from Western countries. Now, if you know anything about the Brexit, one of the things that was complained about in mass was the debt the debt this, the debt that. No, sorry, it's like the foreign aid, blah, 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 blah. And also with the East, you've got to be careful because he uses a slick tongue, because you've got different types of aid as well. You've got tied aid, which is basically aid with conditions. So it's not really aid; it's really a loan, right? And anyone, if you look through history, doing deals with the devil usually ends up in a bad place, which is where most of those states in Africa are, right? They receive an aid from Western countries. For example, after devastating floods in Mozambique, destroying the homes of more than 1 million people, right? Western countries coughed up a tiny 40 million pounds, 40 million in aid, but Mozambique pays more than 70 million US dollars a year in debt repayments to Western banks, right? Um, so hey man, it just really shows you, just how much of a devil Esau is. Over here in the UK, if say a city was to be completely flooded and say 1,000 people made homeless, right? You can imagine the response that they would get. But here it is, 1 million people got their houses got destroyed, and they only sent over 40 million. 40 million. That's like £40 a person. But here it is, Mozambique pays back more than they were given in aid, right? So like I said, it's from this book, and this book looks like it's got some juicy facts, on the IMF and the way Esau deals in the monetary system, right? But I'm just gonna get into some scriptures. This is Psalm 55:21. It says the words of his mouth are smoother than butter. So here it is. He'll happily. In fact, let me start from verse 20. It says, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant." Right, so Esau will come. People will be dealing peaceably with Esau. Name names, Gad, Reuben. Right, they deal peaceably with Esau, but then Esau comes back with that backstabbing. Right, it says he hath broken his covenant. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Once again, I said, think about Gad and Reuben here. Right, but also if you look at the example that I'm giving over there, uh, those countries be thinking, man, we're gonna get this aid, this, that, and the other. Well, really and truly, more time they're just shills. The leaders of those governments there that Esau has propped up. Because if there's a what do you call it? If there's a leader over there that Esau doesn't like, he'll get him toppled. Really, especially if there's resources in that country, take Gaddafi. There's resources in that country, and also Gaddafi was going to do something that was going to be catastrophic to the American economy. Right. So, like I was saying, Esau will make it look like he's doing, all of this good. He's giving aid, this, that, and the other. So the average man over here thinks, oh my God, Esau, he's such a great man, such a philanthropist. But he's not, because really and truly he has ulterior motives, right? He'll go and give you aid with one hand, but then take everything from you with the other. Like he'll give you £1 in one hand and take 10 from you, man. right? So Psalm 58:3 says, the wicked, Esau, so-called white man, are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Right? So as soon as they, as soon as they come out of the womb, basically that is giving the analogy that they're wrong. From, if you can use that word, they're wrong from the ground up, from the very beginning. There's no good in them. Right, where they lie to the people. Thing is, they lie openly as well, and in the sense that they don't lie, but the way they speak is just so what do you call it, such jargon that the average man doesn't understand what it is that's going on. Right. Yeah, okay, their poison. Poison represents the what do you call it, their philosophies. Like the philosophies are like the poison of a serpent. Right. Once when you get the poison of a serpent, man. Hey man, if you don't heal yourself real quick, you gonna die, man. When you really delve into Esau's, philosophies, man, it's gonna be death unto you. And one of the philosophies of Esau is this debt system, this system where, you just borrow, and then everything's will be okay. Well, no, because we all know that the economy is gonna crash real soon. Laws all this, yeah. And as these countries have found out, taking a loan from Esau, that it's just going to be the death of you, man. Over here you've got what's called payday loans, where you get some stupidly astronomical, what do you call it, APR. So you might borrow, £100, but the APR is like 4,000%. Right, this is Isaiah 14:4 says, "Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon." Basically, I took reference in America now. It says, "And say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased." Right, once again, America. Right, but saying, how hath the oppressor ceased? Who's the oppressor? Esau, man. Esau's going around oppressing the whole world. Right, it says verse 5, it says, "The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote, he who smote the people in wrath of the continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth." Right. So when you look at all of these heathen nations, man, that have, done dealings with Esau, man, they're being struck with a continual stroke. When you're the interest on your debt is all that you can afford to pay, and you can't even pay the debt off on its own, man. You're a subservient. You're a slave. You're completely oppressed by the lender, which in this case is Esau. Right. So this man, he kills with the sword, and he kills financially. In that film, The Big Short, it was something like for every 1% of unemployment, 40,000 people die, something like that. But look at what mass unemployment, mass poverty has done. How many people that has killed, throughout the whole world. Right? This is Isaiah 33:1. It says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealt treacherously, and dealt not treacherous with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee." Once again, Esau's just got a history of dealing treacherously with people, man. The first thing he did as Cain was kill his brother. Well, in fact, let's look up what this word treacherous, cover figure, acts covertly, or covert, man, underhand tactics, pillaging, deceitfully, deal treacherously, deceitfully. If that's not a characteristic of Esau, I don't know what is. Right, he goes into these countries and he spoils and he spoils and he spoils. In fact, I believe we've got that here in Habakkuk. Right, but he goes in these countries and he spoils and he takes, but he just carries on taking. Look at the land, for instance. The land has a purpose. It gives forth food. But what does Esau do? He takes and he takes and he takes up until the point where the food, the land isn't even able to produce food, which is why he had the Dust Bowl. Right, this is Habakkuk 2:5. It says, Yea, also because he transgresseth my wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, which is why he's going all into these different countries, which is why he's trying to set up a central bank in all the countries of the world so that they can be subservient to him. Right, in fact, the scriptures talk about the borrower and the lender. I just can't forgot what it said. I mean, it's like how it's right. It says Proverbs 22:7. It says the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Right, in this instance, man, all of these nations that have taken loans ultimately from the Rothschilds. Right, they're slaves, servants to to the lender, the Rothschilds, the international bankers, right? So there's Habakkuk 2:5. Yeah, neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desires is hell. And like I said, one of the ways he does that is by getting people into debt. Right? There's a film. Oh man, I forgot the name. Snatch, I think it is. Snatch is a Guy Ritchie film, but basically there's a villain in there, and one of the things that said is, "Hey man, you don't want to be in this guy's debt because once you're in this guy's debt, you're fucked," which is a great analogy for Esau, right? But gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? Right, because he steals, man. He's a thief by nature. Look, once again, ask Gad and Reuben. Right? It says, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Right, and it's a mistranslation. Clay represents the debt. When you look at the U.S. debt clock, man, it's just increasing. It's a spirit as well, because also I was told today something like the UK debt goes up some astronomical money per second. I know I'm not going to quote the figure because I forget exactly what it was. And there's from the two figures I'm thinking in my head, there's quite a big gulf in them, so I don't even want to suggest. But you can look it up, right? This is Sirach 14:9. It says a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. Once again, Esau, right? He had what he had, right? He had Edom, right? But he didn't want just Edom. He wanted the whole world. He wanted the whole world and everything in it. Right, and once again, like I was saying, the way he gets people, the way he's got the majority, a lot of these nations, because he's got the majority of these nations with the sword, the British Empire, then the American Empire, the American military. One of the ways he gets them as well is by that debt, like we just read in Proverbs, the borrower is servant to the lender, right? It says, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Right. Let's look up. Yeah, because I had this word covet here. It says yearn to possess something, especially belonging to another. That's Esau, man. He covets what other people have. It's sort of like that kid who'll get a toy, and he's having fun with it, but then you see another kid with a toy, and he's like, nah, nah, I want your toy. And the thing is, he won't even play with your toy. He just doesn't want you to have it. That's Revelation 6:4 says, and there went out another red horse that was red, and that's giving you what do you call it? A clue as to who it's talking about, who's red, the Edomites. It says, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And who's done that? Who's got the masses of people living in abject poverty? It's something like over here in the UK, if you're on minimum wage, you're still on that. I think it was the top 5% earners in the whole world. And goes on to say, it says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. But the point in that one is to take peace from the earth, man. Like I said, Esau's got everyone living in abject poverty. Here it is, people live in countries where they're just surrounded in mass by by food, but they're still hungry. By good arable land, but they're still hungry. Or East will go there, like take Nigeria for example, and just have a massive oil spill there, ruin the land. It said that the land that I forgot whether it was BP or Shell, but the land that was ruined by by one of them oil companies was the size of Wales. Now Wales isn't a big country, but that's a big plot of land to just get ruined. When you go to Wales, man, it's nice, it's beautiful greenery. You got the sheep over there, man, just running free. You got the hills, you got the scenery. You got all of the nice little, you know, sceneries over there. Now imagine that all covered with oil. That's what they did, right? But I just wanted to touch on that real quick, right? And with that, I'm gonna say shalom.